Well, as we just said, ambulance services across Canada are facing a crisis. A term level 0 is used when there are no units available to respond to a 911 call. Laura Osman has been looking into how bad the situation is in our nation's capital.
If you were to tally up all the hours Ottawa was at level 0 in the first 8 months of this year, it would add up to more than 5 full days. The paramedics I spoke to call it the new normal. They told me stories about patients waiting for hours for an ambulance after calling 911, or dropping off one patient and rushing out to the next one across town, only to be called down because that patient has died.
If somebody was having an anaphylactic reaction right now, if they're having an asthma attack, if they were going into cardiac arrest, if we're at level 0, then we're not available to respond immediately. Those patients could die. It goes back to a very simple equation. How long can you hold your breath for?
Now, the paramedic service lays the blame for this situation with the hospitals. When a paramedic drops off a patient, they're supposed to be able to transfer them to the ER bed within 30 minutes. It's taking 2 or 3 times as long on average because of a lack of available beds. That means paramedics are spending hours waiting with their patients in the ER instead of responding to new emergencies. And the patients are spending hours on gurneys in the hallways of the hospital waiting for care. I spoke to the family of Carmen Geckel. She was taken to the hospital with chest pain and dizziness 2 years ago. She waited on a gurney for 5.5 hours before she was transferred to a bed, and she died before she was seen by a doctor. Her family was devastated. When her daughter returned to the emergency room recently, she broke down.
I started crying all over again because there were people lining the hallways on gurneys, older people, young people, and this was 2 years later, but it brought back so many emotions because I thought, this is still going on.
Now, Ottawa isn't unique when it comes to these issues, but the people I spoke to who are on the front lines say no one seems to realize just how bad it's become. Laura Osman, CBC News, Ottawa.